Right. So, hi everybody. Good evening, and welcome to another session with me, Varun Rao, on TechTablet. And in today's session, we would be looking at what is data binding, and we would also be looking at how to understand this using master page. All right. Now, when I say master page, I mean a split screen application that we would be looking at. All right. And apart from this, we would also be looking at how to handle data binding for for element or property and aggregate binding. Apart from which, we would also be looking at basic level data binding using Eclipse. Now we would be using some tool which is Eclipse IDE. Right now, the aim of the session is to look at data binding, designing a view in the master page, which would be the left side of the page. Now this is a split screen variant of application that I would be working on, so I hope this should come to use. Now if you would want to look into any further training or in depth on this, you could always let us know. You have the website mentioned right below in the description section. Apart from which, you're more than welcome, and it would always be lovely to enjoy the session that's being posted for free, as the aim of this channel is to ensure at least some are getting benefited, at least some those who might need this kind of information are getting benefited. Right, so now let us quickly begin without wasting any time. And so we'll just open the Eclipse IDs, and let me give you a small understanding of what it is at the beginning, and then we can start with the code. Right, so this is the application, the one with the test, and here this is the one which I have already created. I have a main page and I have an empty page that I've already opened up for us. Right now, this is my master view. Now I can always change the title. As you're able to see, it's written as main page right now, but I'll change this to master. Right, saving it. Now let me go ahead and do this. Right, so the name is changed as we are about to see. Okay, give me a second, guys. I've got to mute my phone. Yeah, done that. Thank you. All right, so my master view. So yeah, the title has been changed. Now I would also like to show the JSON file of data that I have. Now I am sure you must have watched the previous video as well, which would be talking about what is the how to handle or create a mock.json file, how to eliminate errors. That's the previous video. So I hope you've gone through that, and if you do that, I think you would also be able to eliminate the errors that are right now present in my mock.json. Right. Okay, so to go ahead, this is my index.html, all right, and my master view and my mock.json. Now getting back to my master view, right, so let's begin coding. So the first thing that I'm able to see here in my index.html is I have a master page and I have a detail page, but then on the master page, I would be requiring a search field initially, all right, to make it look good. I mean, that's how it would be suitable. So what I would be doing is, let me start the coding. So it would be search field. All right, now this search field here would be, I mean, that should suffice our requirement as of now. We don't have to do anything further. Let's see if we have a search field. Great, so I have a box, right? So now it's the data time. Okay, let's get some data into action. All right, now when I say data, we generally use or we do or we achieve data binding using three methods. The first one would be element binding, the second one would be aggregate binding, and the third one would be property binding. I've explained about all these in previous videos. I think it's in the SAPUI5 UI5 interview videos. We've talked about the different modes of data bindings that we have. So I would request you to watch that if you want further insights into what are the different variants of data binding that we have available. All right. Now I'm done with my search field basically. Now after my search field, let me just start instantiating an element, and the element that I would like to use would be a list. Okay. Now when I talk of a list, I would expect that you would go through to the SDK, understand what are its events, what are its properties, what are the different things that you can bind to it, the extensibility features. I would just leave that to you, the exploration part. But then here in this specific example, we would be using a list, and we'll understand how do we do some data binding with list, the aggregation of lists and things like that. Okay, so let me begin. I have called a list here. Okay, now once my list is done, okay, within this I would have to take up various properties of it, events, aggregations that are a part of list. So let's begin. Now to tell you the thing, whenever I use list, the aggregation that I would be having for my list would be items. So I've taken the items, given my flower brackets, and within this, let me instantiate the thing that I have. It would be sales order collection. Done. Okay. Now I think that should be enough here. Now within my list, I would have to call a child of my list, because directly I cannot bind elements onto my list for all obvious reasons. Now how would I do that? So how do I achieve binding on on my list is the next question. So in order to do that, now what I would have to do inside a list is to instantiate the next thing. Okay, and the next thing that I would be looking forward to instantiate within my list would be an object list item. So let me go ahead and start that. It would be an object list item. Okay, now so I've got to close something that I instantiate each and every time, and inside my object list item I can now use a different range of elements that I want to call. Now what is it that I am looking forward to within my object list item is the most important question. So here I would be using different properties, and the first one that I would want to use would be a title. Right, so let me go ahead and use a title field first. Right, so title. Now see, no matter what, when you are binding data, you're always expected to use double quotes and flower brackets. Okay, that's the thing which would bring your data up, for you. So apart from title, I would also be using another thing which would be number. All right, and see, every time I use a number, I would also have to use a number status, or I think it's a number unit with a small. Right, so that should do the thing for me. So let me start with binding. Okay, now within my title, I'll add the first field that I'm able to look at. Control V. Oops, I have done the wrong thing. Yeah, it should be SAPUI5, that should be copied. Control V. I am saving this, and let's hope we don't have an error. Right, I don't find any errors even at the bottom. Coming here, refreshing this. Great. So as you're able to see, I have my data which is coming up. Okay, seems perfect to me as of now. And within my number, I would also like to instantiate something else, which would be, let me just go for some random number. Right, tax amount. Let me do that. Okay, and this tax amount, because it has a number unit, it would become very obvious for us to understand that this number unit, when you have an amount, the number unit would be euros or rupee or yen or something like that. If it is, some quantity or units like, some apples, it would be kgs or pieces or something like that. So yeah, number unit is that field. So the currency code would be my number unit here, pasting it. Going back to my index.html. I hope it works. Yes, it is. That's looking a bit brilliant now. So this is a basic list that I've created. Now within this, let me add some more. Let us add some more content to give it an enriched look. Now, in order to add more content, the first thing that I would be adding here would be attributes. All right. And within my attributes, I have the option of adding attribute status. I can always do that. Now, or object attribute. Now I would see, because I've used a list and I've used an object list item. So I would be using an attribute inside which I would be using an object. I think it is capital O and capital A, object attributes. Okay. Now within this object attribute, we would now be entering some random text. Okay. Now this, when I say random text, text would be the property that I would be using here. Let me just close the object attribute, and let me also create something called as a first status. Now, why am I creating this? The first status, that I am creating here, we could use that to access or to use the formatter. Now, we'll see how we can use a formatter in the upcoming session. Once we are done with understanding how we do data binding, probably then we can, on the second part, we can understand how to access or how to use a formatter. But before that, I have instantiated something called as a first status. So let me just start writing something in my first status. It would be object status. Right now, what would I do inside my object status? Again, it would be a text, double quotes, flower brackets, closing this, but then I would enter things here this time, instead of entering things just like how, instead of just using a field directly. And what I would do in order to achieve that would be, I would use a path. Okay, but this time it would be single quotes, and I'll just have to call some field here. Okay, I'm copying this, pasting this here. Let me save this, and let's see if I have an output. Great. So I have a date also that's coming in, and then I would have to change this, one final field to go. And here, let me just add, the name of the user probably. It says, yeah, created by. Okay, I'm copying this field, going back, pasting it here, saving it, refreshing. Let me see if there's an output. Okay, perfect. Right. So I see, the success symbol, everything is green. I don't see any errors on the screen. Notwithstanding all that, I am able to see the output right in front of me. So I don't think there's, any problem with, the code. Now, this still looks a bit, unsettled. The view looks a bit rough because the date field is not yet, looking nice to me. I want it to be coming in this format. Okay, like dd YYYY. Now we'll see how to do that in the upcoming session. And when we look at that in the upcoming session, we'll be seeing how to use, or how to achieve this using a formatter, which would be in JavaScripting. Okay, now that would be a JavaScript code that we will be looking at. Now this master view also that we've looked at, we have used element binding, we've used aggregate binding, we've also used property binding, right? All of them have been implemented here, and I would request you to look at the interview questions of my older videos, which will give you an idea about what these three variants of binding are. And if you're looking for any further insight, or if you're looking forward to get trained at a deeper level, you can always get to us, or you can write to us, or you can always comment. You have the website that's available in the description section below. You can always reach us. Right, so the aim of the session has been covered. We've designed a master page. We've seen how to, do data binding, the three variants of data binding, and we've also understood what is data binding at a basic level. And we've done all these using Eclipse. In probably some other session, we'll also see how to cover Web IDE and ensure that data binding is achieved. So I hope you have enjoyed watching the session, and if that's the case, then you can always comment in the section that you have right below. For any queries or any feedback or anything that you want to talk to us. You can always like this. If you have done, if you've actually liked it, we would ask you to hit the like button to encourage us to make more videos. And if you are looking for regular updates on the same, on this technology or probably any other technology, you could always hit on the subscribe button on the YouTube channel and hit on the bell icon as well to have regular notifications, and you can always follow us. And finally, if you feel that this might help anyone else out there who might require this kind of information, we would love it if you could share this to people, as the motive is to ensure that at least a few are getting benefited because of these videos. And I hope you have enjoyed watching the session and learned something new. The next video would be on certain features that are a bit new on SAP UI5 Fiori, and it's being marketed as SAP Fiori 2.0. That's how it's being marketed. So we'll look at what are the new features that we have in SAP in SAP Fiori 2.0, what's new in it, and how can it make the life of a developer easier. So do stay subscribed to this channel, as there are a lot many more videos yet to be released, yet to be exchanged between us. There's a lot of knowledge that's yet to flow between us. So all those who are going out for interviews, all the best out there. Have a great day ahead. And all those who are look in their jobs, I really wish you a great future ahead. Thank you for watching. Be a part of us. Have a great day ahead.